The Houston Texans took a massive step back in the 2024 NFL season, and that was led by a big step back from quarterback C.J. Stroud. The promising rookie from 2023 slumped badly in 2024. While the team did win a playoff game in his second season, the offense ranked 29th, his passing attack ranked 27th, his accuracy was bottom 5, the pass protection was problematic, and the run game lacked consistency. Stroud looked like a shell of the quarterback from 2024 and was sacked 52 times, second only to Caleb Williams. That led the Texans to firing offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick. Houston must improve the offense if it wants to maximize Stroud's rookie contract window. But they have key holes left by departures along the offensive line and the receiving corps. And they don't have much capital to work with. After 2022 and 2023, when the Texans had the number 1 and the number 2 most draft capital, they have just the number 25 most draft capital this year. So, Rich, why is it so important that the Houston Texans make their picks count? Because unlike the 49ers, they don't have a lot of them, 25th in draft capital. It's got to work out for them.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of where the kind of the 49ers were the last few years, but on a worse team, like a little bit of a worse team than the 49ers. They're not a tried and true Super Bowl contender like the 49ers were. And you saw just the impact of the loss of playmakers in the receiving game and the offensive line, and just really put CJ Stroud, and he just developed a lot of bad habits over the course of his second season. It reminded me a lot of what happened to Justin Herbert, like in year 3, where like just, when Keenan Allen and Mike Williams got hurt and the offensive line got hurt and everyone started to just dog on Herbert. And it's just like, you need all these things to kind of work out for you at the quarterback position still, no matter how talented you are. And CJ Stroud had the highest rate of any quarterback in the NFL last year of plays that lost 1 EPA or worse in the NFL, worse than Anthony Richardson, worse than Will Levis. Like 21.1% of his dropbacks were -1 EPA or worse. That just shouldn't be an outcome for a player like CJ Stroud. He actually had fewer dropbacks last year with Tank Dell and Nico Collins on the field than he did as a rookie. We were all excited about having the trio of Dell, Collins, and Diggs. We only threw 66 passes with those guys on the field. And then it all comes back to, the state of this offensive line and where they have kind of taken things in a direction this offseason. Not only were they bad, they were another team. They were only played their starters 35% of the snaps last year. There were rumors that the offensive line room behind closed doors was a problem. DeMeco Ryans downplayed that. But then when you saw what they did, they trade Laramie Tunsil as probably – maybe there's some truth to that. And then also potentially clearing some contract space. Then they trade away Kenyon Green, who underperformed in his rookie contract. They get rid of Shaq Mason. Like, these are guys that were starting for them. And then you look at what they've done this offseason. They've just thrown guys at the position. Like, they just have signed veterans where it's literally like the Arrested Development meme. Like, these guys haven't worked out for everyone else. Maybe they'll work out for us. They bring in Cam Robinson, who is an outright disaster last year for Jacksonville and Minnesota when he went to them. They're going to move Titus Howard from right tackle to left guard. Juice Scruggs has played some center and right guard, so they're going to see what works out for him. But then Ed Ingram, who's been just awful. Every year I've been doing these team needs for like 5 years, and I swear to God, every year I write up Ed Ingram was like, he's at the bottom of like pressure rate allowed and one of the worst graded offensive linemen in the league, and he just keeps finding his way on rosters. They bring in Laken Tomlinson from Seattle. Seattle didn't want you. Like, Seattle was like, we're good. We don't want you. They bring in Trent Brown, who just hasn't really played any games. There was a time where Trent Brown actually was a really good player. He just hasn't played it. He's only played 14 games the past 2 years. So they're just like, it's like literally like King Moonracer is building the island of misfit toys. This is another team, like they better hammer offensive line very early, because none of these guys that they've brought in have worked out anywhere else. So why would we believe that they're going to work out here?
The -1 EPA you mentioned, him leading the NFL, that's crazy. Obviously, we saw that in the playoff game against the Chargers, where they're losing, 6-0 early second quarter. He's at his own 14-yard line, dropped back to pass on, I think it was like 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, something like that. Throws a terrible interception. It was like, oh my God, here we go with the Houston Texans blowing this game at home. They end up coming back and beating the LA Chargers there. But too many of those types of plays where he felt like he had to do too much. And if we can get him in a better mindset where he doesn't feel like he has to do so much and the team is performing better around him, the offensive line is protecting him a little bit better, CJ Stroud will be able to rebound in year 3 Ray, on the defensive side of the ball, what are some things that you are looking for the Houston Texans to capitalize on with the draft capital that they do have in 2025?
I mean, I think they're actually, for the most part, they're in a good spot. You can, pick some spots and say, their secondary, they probably need more depth in their secondary. I actually put defensive back as a need. And I do think they need that. But I mean, they really hit on two guys last year in the secondary with Lassiter and Bullock. And so like they hit that. They really found gold with Jalen Petrie playing as really a slot corner. They just extended him. And so you put all that together and they acquire CJ Gardner-Johnson. And so you put it all together and you look at the starting lineup and you go, that's a pretty good, 5-man unit there. They could use some depth for sure. They did bring in Ronald Darby. He's not, he's an older guy, not coming off his best season for sure, but they could use some depth there. I look at the defensive line and I think maybe the defensive line isn't great. Maybe they need, some depth at edge. Although I will say I might plant my flag here in Darrell Taylor, who they acquired in free agency. He's probably going to be their number 4 guy behind Derek Barnett. He has some really good markers if you go kind of through his career, including last year. He had a 14.2% pressure rate on limited snaps with the Bears. I wonder if he's maybe better than what we've seen. He does have 9.5 sack career. So there, I like these I like doing this because I find these random guys that I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's going to be my guy. So anyway, Darrell Taylor is now my guy. But you look at their defense and it's not there. I think Rich, it's fine. Like everything is fine. They're going to add some guys, they're going to add some depth, but it's fine. Rich has just hit on it. The offensive line just has to be better. They have to probably find a wide receiver. We'll see what they're able to do with Christian Kirk as the number 2. Obviously Tank Dell coming back from that serious injury, but it's just all the offensive line. And Rich brought it up. I think the interesting thing that they decided to do was that there were clearly issues in the offensive line room. As a short kind of tangent, I just happened to be in a steakhouse at a casino a month ago and was talking to like a guy that would know what's going on with the Texans. And he mentioned that what's everything that was happening with, Tunsil trade and everything, they were trying to improve that room. And all of that makes sense. And they obviously decided to do it. But like, Tunsil was still good on the field, even with penalties. And now you don't have anybody like that. And your offensive line was already bad. And so it's just, they have to improve that. And if they don't, we saw Stroud take a bit of a step back last year. Can we get him back to his rookie level? I'm not sure. And so it just all really revolves around that. And they're going to have to fire as many bullets as they can into that offensive line room to really hit the level they expect to be.